To quilt the border of Always Believe, once the scallop has been marked, I take a chalk mark and mark a 1/2 inch in from the scallop. That way I know how far to quilt my feathers, and the feathers will not be cut off with the binding of the quilt. That's just a line as to how far I'm going to quilt my feathers. I'm also going to make a line with chalk partway down the scallop so I know where to base my scallop line. Once I have that, I'm going to take my ruler. I have a 12-inch circle here. I'm going to put my needle at the bottom of one of the scallops on my marked line. Quilt against the ruler. In an arc that follows the curve of the scallop. Then once I go to the corner, I do it again. Going over to my diagonal marked line, continuing on. So once I have my spine of my feathers sewn in, the next thing I'm going to do is, with a piece of chalk, mark another line following the circle that I just quilted, and that's how long to quilt each of my feathers in the other direction. It'll show more as I'm going to quilt it. So I'm going to start my feathers in one corner. And I only quilted as far as the chalk line, not as far as the drawn scallop. And into that corner, I'm going to start again with the feathers going along the next scallop. Quilt my feathers off the edge. Starting back at the beginning of my feathered spine again, I'm going to quilt the feathers on the other side of the spine, only down as far as the chalk mark that I've made. Then I'll turn the corner and do the next. Now to quilt quilt the background, I'm going to start with what would be the seam line in my border, but it's just the edge of my fabric on this practice piece. And I'm going to take my Handy Quilter mini scallop ruler. It has a lot of nice markings in here, and I'm going to use those to get a 1-inch line going behind my feathers. So I'm placing it against my ruler, my foot, and I'm stitching up to the feather, back down to the seam line. I'm going to stitch over 1 inch, and I'll know it's 1 inch whenever this line on my ruler, the inch line, lines up over top of the line I just stitched. And then stitch another line up to my feather and back down. Stitch over 1 inch, up to my feather and back down. Over 1 inch, up to my feather, back down. And a view of the finished scalloped border quilted with feathers and background lines.